Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Story Darlings podcast. We're here for another episode, our second episode. I am Sandra.
And I'm Tara.
And today we are doing a little bit of Halloween theme. But before we get into what exactly that is, what's up, Tara? What's new? What's happening? What are you doing? What are you reading?
Not a whole lot. Working on this podcast has taken up a chunk of my time, but I am reading Cruel Prince by Ashley Jade, and it's in a series, and this is like the third time I've read it, but I love it. It's one of those stories that just pulls you back in.
You said Cruel Prince. Is it just is it like a romance or is it a fantasy romance or what?
It's a romance. It kind of centers on high schoolers, and there's something that drives them apart, and then they come back together, and the guy is not very nice to the girl. And he's like the quintessential, like, top dog at high school. And so, yeah, but then they end up getting together, falling in love, and again, it's a series. So
we like happy endings. Yeah. No, when you said Cruel Prince, I was like, oh, you're reading the Cruel Prince trilogy by Holly Black. So she writes these YA fantasy romance types. And so there is a Cruel Prince in that series. He's fairy or fae. The land is called Fairy, and his name is Carden. And there's so much fan art about Carden, and I love the books. Like, they're very dark and whimsy, but they're a lot of fun, and they feel very lyrical when you're reading them. So I highly recommend. That's what I was thinking about when you said Cruel Prince. Anything else new?
No.
Yeah. Boring. Same here. I'm still reading Infinite Jest. It's like it's like the Bible. The pages are super thin. It's like the thickest book I have probably. And yeah, I'm kind of just solo reading it now, and I've fallen behind on my reading schedule for it, but I'm trying to keep up with it. Besides that, I've just been in a slump, really, from everything. Like, nothing sounds appealing to read or watch, and in a way, this podcast has been really good for that, getting more FaceTime with you and talking about these things, getting back.
There are things that you have to read or watch before each episode, so you have no choice.
That's a good way to do it. But it's like with this, I didn't necessarily, watch it before we started the episode, but yeah. Sweet and sours. Tell me something sweet and tell me something sour.
So my sweet is going to be that I got to go to a presidential dinner for donors at my work, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, nice.
Just got to dress up and go out, which I don't get to do that.
I know. It's like there's no occasion.
Got to buy a dress for myself, and I wore heels, and
ooh.
Know anything about me? Like, heels have not been in my, outfits for a while because I hurt my foot, and so
I was gonna say we wore heels a lot back in the day, circa 2007 people.
Yeah, but I have to go with the baby heels now, whereas circa 2007 I could wear real heels.
Yeah, that is sweet.
Mm-hmm. My sour is one of the reasons that I sent my son upstairs to record this episode. My brother's dog got ran over this morning, so
no,
that's going to be my sour because she's my puppy's mom. And so
that's so sad. Wait, do your kids know?
No, my kids don't know, which is why my son has
a
piece upstairs.
Is Carly upstairs too?
Yep. But I felt bad for Lily, my puppy, all day because I'm like, does she know her mommy died?
Oh, that's so sad. Sweet for me, it's like racking my brain trying to think of something. I guess a sweet is it's payday this week. That's always good. So I haven't
Maybe.
been working in like a year, and I had my first paycheck like a week or two ago. And so now I get my second paycheck. So yeah, it's a good feeling to be working and adding some kind of value to society again. So that's good. Sour, no real updates from last time. Everything sucks. And yeah, I'm just gonna use my everything slump as my sour because I don't know, like I'm just in a funk and I'm trying to get through it, but we shall see.
You'll get through it. It just might take a bit longer than you anticipate.
Yeah.
Well, on that downer of a note, we are going to get into the episode. And as Sandra mentioned, we are doing a Halloween theme this week. And we are going to discuss Hocus Pocus.
Yay.
I know most of you hopefully have heard of this movie and know it. Even if you have not watched it in over 20 years, as Sandra has not, you've watched it at some point. It was released in 1993. And the reason it is coming back is there's a second one coming out next year, which is very exciting for those of us who love this movie and watch it every year, if not multiple times a year.
How many times have you watched it already this Halloween season, Tara?
We have watched it 3 times so far. 3 times.
Yeah.
There's also a book out for the second one, and my kids have that book as well. So Sandra, I know you just mentioned that you haven't seen it in approximately 20 years, but when was the first time you saw this movie? Do you remember?
I honestly don't remember. I tried like starting it a little bit ago, and I literally remembered very little. But there's a scene in the very beginning when Max is like just pouting in his bedroom, and because he just had his shoes.
That's what we did.
Yeah, that's what you do. You don't have a cell phone. We didn't have internet until like later on. So he's just pouting and starts like hitting on the drums, and I remembered the beat of the drums that he was playing, like that I could recall. And then I remembered his sister screaming that just shrill sound. Like I remembered that grating on me when I was a kid, and then it like did the same, like it triggered me again. And so like that came back. So it's like starting to come back. So it's kind of cool to revisit after being away from it for so long.
I also do not remember when the first time I watched it. I know I watched it a lot growing up though. Like I feel like it was like an every year thing for my house growing up, but I had not watched it in probably 10 years before I introduced it to my kids. And then it was just back on repeat every year.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people who love it and watch it religiously every single year. It has such a cult following. And so maybe we'll get to go into why we think that is. But I think for this episode, it'll be really cool to have your perspective as someone who like adores it and loves it and watches it every single year without fail. And then there's just me who's like, yeah, I'll try and watch it later on if I have time to do it.
Yeah. So I will get into a little bit of the plot for those of you who may have not watched it.
Or if it's been over 20 years.
And I will go through all of the characters and all of that. So let's start. As Sandra mentioned, there are multiple members of a family that are very important to this movie. The first one being Max. He is the teenage boy that moves to Salem without a whole lot of knowledge of what happened there 300 years prior. And then he has a little sister named Danny, who, if any of you have a little sister, she's what you imagine or what you experienced. She is annoying and troublesome and all of those things, but Max loves her anyway. Then there is Thackeray. And yes, that is with the TH. When I was a kid, I thought that they were calling him Zachary with a lisp because, well, Winifred made fun of the dad because he had a lisp. So I thought that that was just, kind of flowing. But no, his name is Thackeray. And he was a little boy or a teenager back in Salem 300 years prior to this movie. He also had a little sister that was kidnapped by the witches, and her essence, whatever you want to call it, soul, I don't know, they used for making themselves younger. Thackeray tried to save her, and in doing so, got himself turned into a cat that could not die. So he comes into the future or present time, however you want to look at it, as a cat that is trying to keep people away from the witch's old home so that they can't light a candle that will bring them back. But Max, not believing in all of this, lights the candle anyway because, well, he's a teenager and he just does. And he brings the witches back. And they try and steal little kids to be younger and younger and younger. And that's pretty much the plot of the movie. There's other things that happen.
Very, very grim, very dark
it's
plot.
Kind of like,
really think about it.
Hansel and Gretel, that's a very dark plot too, but it's like a little fairy tale, which
that's why we like these stories. I'm good with it.
But there are a lot of funny points in this movie, including when Max lights that candle. There's a very funny quote from there, and we'll get to it later, but there are a lot of funny points, a lot of comedy throughout the movie as well.
Yeah, one of the things I remember that I enjoyed about it so much was just I felt like at the time, if I'm remembering correctly, it did such a good job at just dropping these witches into modern day life. And they were just like so awkward and stumbling around trying to figure out everything and understand the language and just the customs of everyday life. And I always, that was always one of the best parts of the movie to me.
Yeah, when they first came back, Max had just lit the candle and they were attacking everybody or whatever. And he uses the sprinkler system to say that he brought the rain of death on them. And they all were afraid of that. And yeah, they didn't know what a sprinkler system was or the road outside. They pushed Sarah Jessica Parker's character in it, thinking it was a river and she would drown so that they could test how deep it was. So I always thought that those two scenes were very funny as a kid.
No, Sarah's like stomping on the street. Like that's like forever to my brain. Yeah, it's hard. That's something that she would say. Her character is just like
such a little ditzy, but
such a ditz. Yeah. I feel like Sarah, Jessica Parker, and Bette Midler were so prolific at that time, just in everything that they were doing. I guess that's the other appeal of this movie. It's like, it's not necessarily that it has like this mind-blowing plot or anything like that, but like the dialogue and the humor are really good. And it just has like 20 years later, just watching it, it's more of the nostalgia element, I think.
I remember when I was a kid thinking that these witches were kind of old. And now that I rewatch it,
well, they did look really old in the beginning. They did look really old and haggard.
Yeah. But even when they went back to like young, I'm a kid, these 20 somethings, almost 30 somethings were really old to me. And now that I look back and I'm watching it with my kids, I'm like, oh, they're my age.
Oh, and we're gonna go cry now off screen.
I remember being that kid that was like, I don't want to be around anybody. Like, I'm too cool for this, whatever. And now I'm looking back thinking, oh man, did I act like that? Did I do that?
Yeah. I think I do remember like being frustrated with the little girl in the beginning, just because
Mhm.
she's like literally just blindly following, I think it was Sarah, to the witch's house
Oh yeah.
as the brother is like, and his friend are screaming across the field after them. And she's just like, la la la, like, I'm just gonna follow this weird lady into her house in the middle of the woods. And it's just like, really?
I thought that too, but after I watched it again, it looked like there was some magical stuff coming off like in
Think she
between
was
them. So I
bewitched.
wonder if she'd already been bewitched. That's the reason she
Yeah.
didn't turn around.
Yeah, maybe. That would make sense.
But I do like, speaking of the children, I do like how Mary was the one who smelled children, and they go out on Halloween, which is way different 300 years later than they experienced when they were like alive or whatever. And Mary keeps going, I smell children. I smell children. And they can't find the children because the children are all dressed up in Halloween costumes. And I remember now thinking that is hilarious. But as a kid, I don't think I got that as much as I do now. I
Mm.
also really enjoyed the scene with the devil where they were calling him Master, the guy that was dressed up as the devil.
Yeah.
And they're like, Master, Master. And then his wife was like, get out of my house. And I didn't get that when I was a kid either, that he was dressed up as the devil and thus their master because they're witches. And so I think a lot of the humor was geared towards older people, adults,
Yeah.
not necessarily the children, but the children got the, fun out of the witches and all of that.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
I
Just you
think I'm
talking
getting the
about,
jokes more now.
yeah, just you talking about that, it does make me want to go back and finish watching it as a 30 something,
We don't have to
well
say that.
rounded, has all her shit together woman.
Yeah, it's exactly what I felt like when I watched it the second
Oh,
time.
I need a good laugh. Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
watch it tonight in bed.
I think that it holds some lessons though for kids, like blindly believing what other people are telling you, um, kind of preparing yourself for people not wanting the best for you. Like the witches didn't want the best for anybody. They were out for themselves. Um, so I think that there are some lessons to be learned from the movie too, for those kids that don't get the adult humor.
For me, since it's been over 20 years since I watched it, I've always had a hard time like trying to understand why the movie is so popular. Like people just lose their minds whenever Labor Day happens and is over, and then everyone switches their decor to Halloween shit and then watch this movie. And I just never really understood it. And so, I mean, why do you think it is? Is it just like primarily our generation or a little bit older even?
I think people just want some whimsy. And by the time you hit Halloween, there hasn't been a holiday in what, like 4 months? Like a big holiday, like 4th of July.
Yeah. And honestly, if I'm being honest, Halloween is my favorite holiday just
Yeah,
because it's
you just
like
get to
have
have
fun.
fun.
It's not like
And
family obligation stuff like, Thanksgiving and Christmas can tend to be. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like I haven't dressed up for Halloween in years, and dressing up in costumes used to be one of my favorite things to do. And I haven't done it in so long. It's fun, like watching your kids dress up and their little faces light up and they have so much fun. But it's like something about wearing that mask or wearing something else and becoming someone else. It was just always so much fun. And
yeah,
yeah.
that is what I was going to say. You get to be somebody who you're not. You get to like step out of your sours of your life and be your sweet, like whether that's a fireman or a police officer or whatever you wanted to be as a kid, you can be that for a night.
Are you
Um,
dressing up for Halloween this year?
we were going to do a family costume, and I think I'm
Oh,
going to do Scooby Doo because my dog looks a lot like Scooby Doo. So,
I
um,
used to be obsessed with Scooby Doo. That's so cute.
I that's another nostalgic thing that I've brought back, and my kids are watching the old episodes
Aw.
of it. Yeah, I
Did
just
your kids have a hard time like when you tried introducing them to things that you enjoyed when you were younger? I tried that with Vincent, and he was just like he could tell the old animated Disney movies versus like the new computer generated, you know, graphics. Like he just was not having it. So I keep hoping as he gets older, he'll let me do that. But
they did not have a problem with it.
Mhm.
But they also did not have a choice because I'm like, mommy's gonna watch this. So you can sit your butt down or you can go upstairs, whichever way you want to do it. But this is what we're gonna watch down here. So
Yeah, but now they watch Hocus Pocus with you.
yep. And they also, my kids have some snark, so they did fault me on pulling out a Christmas movie recently.
Oh
They
man,
thought it was a
already
bit early for
Christmas?
that. But it was just the movie. It was the Cinderella like movie, and it just happened to be like Christmas timing of it. So it wasn't necessarily a Christmas
Whatever you
movie,
have to
but
tell yourself,
it
Tara.
had Christmas in it. Okay. Uh, but yeah, they did fault me on that one. So I can't pull out Christmas movies yet.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll buy that as an answer. It's just like the whole aspect of being somebody else for a night,
Plus free
having,
candy.
huh?
I said plus free candy. Like, who's gonna turn down
I
free
mean,
candy?
that's awesome when you're a kid, but like I try to stay away from eating all this candy all the time because it's not good.
I don't. I am there for the candy. I'm that mom that picks out my favorite candy from the kids' candy stash. I'm like, this is my tax, which is a line that they use in the movie. Like the
Oh, they
bully
do?
in the movie tell Danny that she has to pay the tax.
Oh, I okay. So now I'm wondering whether that came from this movie or if it was before or what.
I don't know.
It's interesting.
That's where I got it. But it's the
Uh-huh.
mom tax for walking them around everywhere. They have to give me some of their candy.
Yeah.
So I do not stray away from the candy.
Speaking of quotes, like the candy tax, the mom tax, whatever they're calling it. What's your favorite quote in the movie?
I like the quote that Thackeray says right after Max lights the candle, where he basically tells him that he had to wait 300 years for a virgin to light the candle. And then Danny's like, yeah, dummy. I really like that part because it just shows the sibling rivalry or the sibling like relationship between them, where Danny calls him out for being dumb and lighting a candle, even though he did not believe that that would happen. He was just being a
Yeah.
kid, didn't believe. I love that one.
Yeah, I like the snark and the little sister there, but I also just like it kind of being a commentary on just people today, just like having no inhibitions really compared to, however long ago the beginning of the movie was.
Yeah.
Just people be hoes.
Well, even more like I would be interested to see if there's a similar quote in the 2022 movie, because I think we've fallen downhill on that a little bit too, where in every other movie or every other book or every other whatever, there's a lot of the sexual content.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't remember that much in the 90s. Maybe I just wasn't watching those movies, but I don't remember it being in everything, in all the songs and everything around.
No, I
And
don't.
so even then, for that comment to be made, I think was pushing it.
Yeah, I feel like you're spot on there. It's just even reading things that were written around that time, like the late 80s, early 90s, like even just any kind of romance is just approached so like
Yeah,
arm's
differently.
length away. Yeah, I would agree with that.
They hint at it, but they do not tell you what's going on.
Yeah. I do like that aspect of movies like Hocus Pocus is like they sprinkle these little comments in that have like this bigger meaning as it applies to modern day life. And then like even the movie itself, like if you remember in the beginning, because it was the little girl that was her essence was sucked out and she became old, which was so dark. Like they just like put a blanket over her and they were like, bye. Like, you're done.
No big deal. Just kill
Yeah.
the kid.
Yeah. She's just like, anyways, that image is like so sad, but it's like her and her brother. And then it's like modern day life. It's like parallels, right? Because now you have Danny and her brother. So it was like it felt very cyclical, like history repeats itself, blah, blah, blah. Like I always appreciate that part of books and movies.
From what I read about the new one coming out, it's also another sibling pair that's coming back to Salem. And so I think it's going to be some of that cycle again.
Yeah.
We didn't learn the first time or the second time.
We never do. We're human beings. History. We never ever learn. We just revert back over and over again.
I feel like kids think that they know.
They always think they know. Else.
And as we talked about in our after series, we don't know anything.
No, you just have to, like, people have to learn things themselves. They just have to go through all of the shit and just learn the lessons themselves. You try to warn them, and that's all you can really do. It's like talk about this stuff, and like it's the education and awareness aspect of it, right? But yeah.
So what was your favorite quote?
It happened right in the beginning of the movie, and it was just like, another glorious morning. It makes me sick. And it's like, that is such an energy right now. That is exactly how I feel. Another freaking morning. It's like fall officially. It's like beautiful weather. It's not hot and humid and gross. And it's sunshiny and clear skies. But I'm just in a like foul mood. And I just, I'm like, I will be her. I'll be her for
Halloween. You're gonna dress up
for the foreseeable future.
I also really enjoy how Sarah's character is so boy crazy.
Oh yeah,
it's hilarious when the firemen come. She's like, boys, and then when she gets the like essence and goes younger or de-ages, I don't know what you call that. She
Benjamin Buttons.
yes, she is really happy because she's beautiful now and the boys will like her. It's just really funny to me.
I mean, wasn't that what it was about though? Like in the 90s, I feel like that was the depth of romance. Is like, oh, this girl is like, you know, she has pretty hair, pretty teeth. Yeah, she dresses cute. So it's like,
I feel like when I was a teenager, she was my like spirit animal, spirit person, whatever, because I think pretty much all girls are a little boy crazy at that time. So like she was my favorite character then. But looking back, I'm more a Winifred. Like I don't like all this. I want you to go away.
I want you to go away.
So I think that that's another thing that this movie does really well. It has a person for each like generation to like feel connected to. Like when I was a kid, I was connected to Sarah. As I age, I'm more the grumpy old lady that Winifred is. And then I guess I never connected really with Mary because she was always.
I mean, Mary's married. She doesn't have a lot going for her.
But I also connected when I was a kid. I connected with Max because I felt like everything was dumb and.
I feel like even the name Max is like a 90s thing. Do you remember a Goofy movie?
Yes.
Like that was the son's name, Max. And it's like the clothing in that cartoon reminds me of the clothing in this. I think that's just like another thing why Hocus Pocus is so popular with millennials. And are we younger or older millennials? I can't remember. But I mean, it's super popular. Yeah.
I don't know.
I hate admitting that, but I think
maybe we're right on the cusp between millennials and Gen whatever the next one is. I don't know.
Is it Gen X?
I think it's either Gen X or Gen Z. I think Gen Z's now though.
I don't know these young whippersnappers.
I don't either. See, we're Winifred.
We are I'm definitely a Winifred right now. I don't see that changing. I'm just like bah humbug.
These
everyone's
essences
sex.
of children apparently de-age us.
I'm not quite at that level yet, but yeah.
My children are doing the opposite and they're sucking it out of me, I think, right now.
I know I use that phrasing all the time. It's like, okay, any listeners out there who are parents to young
They
children,
age you.
they do age you. It's like my hair in the last year and a half, almost 2 years since this pandemic started, and I've been like stuck at home. Like I
Yes.
have zero energy to do anything. And like I don't even recognize myself anymore from who I was like 15 years ago. Like 15 years ago, I'm like, yeah, let's stay up all night. Like, I'm going to do this and that. And we're going to go out and do all of the things. And I can get up the next day and do it. And you don't have to report to anyone. You're really just accountable for yourself. And now it's just like your brain is constantly thinking about, did I do XYZ? Did I plan this? This is happening tonight. Tomorrow I got to have this prepared. And it's just like all the time, constantly. And it's exhausting. And how do we get better? How do we get our old selves back, Tara?
I think when our kids age just a little more, we'll have more time to ourselves. At least that's the lie I'm telling myself right now. When they get old enough to take care of themselves, I can start taking care of myself more. But I agree with you. I was doing my hair earlier and I had to undo it because I had so much gray. And I'm like, I can't right now. Like, no. Mm-mm.
Same.
It's the dark hair thing too. I have the
Yeah.
dark hair. Like, it's just very visible. I feel like if I had blonde hair, it'd be okay. Wouldn't be as visible.
Hey, at least
But I
you can
have,
have two different colors naturally throughout your life. Well, three if you count like salt and pepper type of mix.
I'm not sure that that's a good thing, Sandra.
Whatever. I kind of just wish my hair would just turn white all at
I
once.
know.
That's one of the things I always loved about Sarah's character. When I was little, I remember loving her hair. Like it was so light and long and just like so much volume to it. It was just
It had
gorgeous.
some waves.
Yeah, there was like shape to it. Like it wasn't just like flat and thin to her head. I loved her hair when I was a kid.
She was really pretty too.
She was a little ditzy though. Did
Yeah.
you see the beginning of the movie when the little girl's brother comes in? She's like, I knew I smelled a boy, and she like grabs her like breast. She's like, did you notice her
No,
doing
I
that?
did not notice.
Like, go back and watch it. She's like, everything Sarah Jessica Parker does for this role is just like, it's so much.
One part that Carly, my daughter, really loved is when they're hiding from the firemen, and this is where she says the boys thing. She also then eats a spider. She's like, "Ooh, a spider," and then puts it in her mouth. And Carly's like, "She just ate a spider." She's like, "I liked her before that.
Yeah, now she's dead to me. That's disgusting.
Now she's gross."
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, in honor of Halloween, we told you last time that we were going to be putting some charitable sites up every episode. So in honor of Halloween, we have put up a couple of different really popular Halloween costumes, and you get to kind of pick which one you are going to be this year. So make sure to check out the charities that we have linked in our episode notes.
Yeah. I love it. It's fun. It's like Halloween is one of the ones that you can just have more fun with and brings back so many memories.
Like Sandra said, you get to choose. This is your choice
Get to
in
pick.
Halloween.
Yeah.
So, well, have fun, trick or treat, eat all the candy. Your kids don't need
Or
any.
not. It's okay to not eat the candy and just sneak bits of it into the garbage like I do because I'm that mom.
There are places where you can turn in your candy and get money for it. Like dentists will do that now.
What? I have never heard of this.
You turn it in and they'll give you like your kids like little prizes or money or something.
I've never heard of this ever.
Yeah, you
Is
should
this
go
a Columbia thing?
dentists.
Huh?
It might be, but you should go check out some dentists.
Yeah, I'm not too happy with mine. I went to the dentist like 2 days ago and I had to get a filling.
Oh, I went to the dentist for the not the first time in a while, but the first time in a little while that I did not have to get something done. Kids, man, I tell you, they destroy everything. And my kids destroyed like my teeth, my brain, yeah, just anything. This is like apparently a birth control episode too. But yeah. So this first time I have not had to get something done in a while.
Don't reproduce, people. That's what Tara is saying. That's the
They
lesson
screw
here.
everything up. And I'm saying this around my son's birthday too. So like happy birthday to him. I don't
Happy birthday, Michael. We love you. Your mommy loves you. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye. All right. Let me find the off button. Shouldn't be. There it is.